Abraham Lincoln and Winston Churchill. One saved America from splitting apart. The other saved the world from the threat of tyranny. They are two of the most revered leaders in history. But beneath their heroic masks lay surprisingly human and, frankly, wild, true faces that we rarely see. Depression, bizarre habits, and scandalous private lives. Today, we will conduct a thorough head-to-head comparison of these two giants of the English-speaking world. This is a battle of titans, revealed by AI. So, who was the crazier of the two? Let's begin with their inner battles. Lincoln suffered from severe, debilitating depression throughout his life. He was often seized by fits of melancholy, withdrawing for weeks at a time. His friends were so concerned he might take his own life that they hid razors and knives from him. He loved to tell jokes and make people laugh, but it may have been a shield to hide his own profound sadness. Churchill, on the other hand, also battled what he famously called his black dog of depression for his entire life. He had extreme mood swings, sometimes unable to get out of bed for days, plagued by a black sense of despair. However, he tried to suppress this black dog with alcohol and, above all, with action. Ironically, the greatest crisis of World War II may have been what saved him from his depression. Both men, while guiding their nations through their darkest hours, were also fighting a war within their own minds. Next up, their physical quirks and the bizarre habits associated with them. Lincoln was known for his unusual height. At 6'4", around 193 centimeters, he was a giant, towering nearly a foot above the average man of his time. However, his voice was surprisingly high-pitched, almost falsetto, according to reports. This contrast between his towering appearance and his voice often startled people. His famous silk top hat wasn't just for show. He used it as a filing cabinet for his letters and notes. Churchill, meanwhile, struggled with a lisp and a slight stutter for his entire life. Legend has it that he practiced speeches with pebbles in his mouth to overcome it. Furthermore, he loved being naked. Once, while staying at the White House, he emerged from his bath, completely nude, and ran into President Roosevelt. To the startled president, Churchill is reported to have said, "You see, Mr. President, I have nothing to hide from the American people." So, what about their relationships with women? Lincoln was certainly no playboy. His wife, Mary Todd, was known as an ambitious and fiery woman, and their marriage was often stormy. In his youth, when challenged to a duel over Mary, Lincoln, disgusted by the absurdity of it, deliberately chose comical weapons to avoid the duel. Churchill, on the other hand, was quite the playboy in his youth. He traveled the world seeking adventure and romance. However, after meeting his wife Clementine, he devoted himself to her. He wrote over 1,700 love letters to her in his lifetime. In them, he penned passionate words like, "With you beside me, I am fortified and armed against any fate." He may have been a lion in public, but perhaps he was a kitten at home. Both were masters of language, but their styles were polar opposites. Lincoln used humor and storytelling to skillfully outmaneuver his opponents. When a political rival accused him of being two-faced, he famously retorted, "If I had another face, do you think I would be wearing this one?" Churchill's wit, on the other hand, was razor-sharp and often cruel. When a female member of Parliament told him, "Sir, if you were my husband, I would poison your coffee," his legendary reply was, "Madam, if I were your husband, I would drink it." Lincoln's humor was a tool for unity. Churchill's wit was a weapon to crush his enemies. What about their sense of money? Lincoln was a self-made man, famously born in a log cabin. He was never wealthy until he became president. He was frugal, diligently saved his income as a lawyer, and barely touched his presidential salary. In stark contrast, Churchill was born a grandson of a duke in the magnificent Blenheim Palace. He was a born aristocrat, but he was plagued by financial problems his entire life. cigars, brandy, gambling, and expensive clothes. His lifestyle always outpaced his income, and he was constantly on the verge of bankruptcy, surviving on his earnings as a writer and speaker. One built wealth from poverty, while the other was born into wealth but always feared debt. An interesting reversal of fortunes. As leaders, they had to make ruthless decisions. Lincoln, to preserve the Union of America, waged the Civil War, a bloody conflict that tore the nation in two. Over 600,000 Americans died. He allowed his countrymen to kill each other for the great ideal of emancipation. Churchill, meanwhile, refused to yield to the onslaught of Nazi Germany. He authorized the controversial firebombing of German cities, like Dresden. Hundreds of thousands of civilians perished. He was not afraid to become a monster to defeat a greater evil. Their hands were stained not only with ink, but with blood. That is the terrible burden that great leaders must bear. And strange stories surround the end of their lives as well. Lincoln is said to have a premonition of his own death just days before his assassination. In a dream, he asked about the sound of weeping coming from the East Room of the White House, only to be told by a guard, "The president has been assassinated." Churchill, on the other hand, was astonishingly lucky. Throughout his life, he survived numerous near-death experiences, escaping from a prisoner of war camp during the Boer War, fighting in the trenches of World War I, and even a serious car accident in New York City. The New York incident is particularly famous. Forgetting the American traffic rules, he looked the wrong way when crossing the street and was hit by a car. He was severely injured but miraculously survived. One foresaw his own death, while the other repeatedly defied it. Fate, it seems, had prepared contrasting final acts for these two great men. A lonely idealist and a passionate pragmatist. Two giants who fought to protect the light of their nations while battling their own inner darkness. Their craziness was their weakness, but it was also, simultaneously, their greatest strength. So, after hearing this story, which leader do you find more crazy and more fascinating? Please let us know your opinion in the comments. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Let's uncover more crazy hidden sides of history in the next video.